Welcome back. Thank you very much, Kiba, for that nice song, Señorita. We're looking at what's making the headlines today. Mheshimiwa Jogu Barua, Mheshimiwa Mili Mabona, Gathoni wa Mushomba, Jubilee nominee for Kiambu position of woman representative, and of course, Mheshimiwa Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor, Nairobi. Raila Odinga and 4 other candidates, including and 3 other candidates actually, Mheshimiwa Ekuru Aukot of the Third Way Alliance Kenya, Mheshimiwa Abdul Badida of the Alliance for Real Change in Kenya, were cleared yesterday by IEBC to take a shot at the presidency on August 8th. Mheshimiwa John Yaga, however, was asked to go and repay his commitment money after he delivered a check of 250,000 instead of 200,000, and it's expected that he'll be the 4th candidate to be cleared on day 1 of the exercise. We want to focus on day 1. Your take, Jogu Barua?
My take on this is generally is that the race has begun, and we saw that Raila is cleared. Now is no longer an aspiring candidate, candidate. Today afternoon, we are going to have Uhuru Kenyatta as a candidate, and the real battle will begin. What I can say is that, and first of all, I know it's correct Mweke's assertion about the coalition government, because he said that there was a coalition government between Kalonzo, Raila, and Mweke Bake. The coalition government was between Mweke Bake and Raila Odinga. Kalonzo was not in the agreement. So from tomorrow, it's campaign full blast, and that is between Raila.
Actually, from yesterday.
From yesterday, from today after Uhuru is cleared. Because these are 2 horse races, in my own opinion, and the numbers are there on both sides. And so exactly what matters now is a matter of strategy. What strategy you apply to get the majority? And it's going to be a bruising battle. These are the candidates, Independence, Nyaga, and the rest. In my own opinion, they'll be lucky to get 1% of the votes. So they may not be of quite a major significance to this race. Yeah, but one thing is I'm sure about is that money will be spent, and it's going to be a bruising fight. There will be a lot of name calling, passing on blame from one to the other. What I was calling politicizing, and I meant politicizing is like when NASA is on attack and Jubilee is on defense. That's the politics I was talking about. And I think and I hope this politics is going to be about issues. When we talk about food, let either side of the divide tell us what their strategy to address the issue of food. It's a question of infrastructure. I would like to hear the policies they are going to put in place to address the issue of the infrastructure. But right now, what it is, the way it's turning out now, is name calling, passing on blames, and the Kenyans are actually getting lost because they are not seeing how the future will be for them.
Mheshimiwa Jonathan Mweke, your candidate yesterday, the NASA candidate Raila Odinga, finally got the clearance, and in his gratitude speech, he mentioned that he hopes the issue of hate speech will not be used to gag campaigns and speeches. Would you be able to tell us more about this? What exactly was he hinting at in view of what Jogu Barua is saying? It should not be about name calling.
Yeah, you see, there is hate speech, and then there is telling it as it is. And I think Mheshimiwa Raila is not just my candidate, he's a candidate of 45 million Kenyans. I think what he was really saying is, listen, the whistle has been blown, let us go out and tell Kenyans, 1, what we are going to do once we take over power, and 2, why are we taking over power in the first place? We want to go and take over power as NASA because the Jubilee government has not done what they said they were going to do for Kenyans 4 years ago. So they've had their chance. They said they'd grow the economy by 7% in the first 2 years. The economy has only grown at 5%. Failure number 1. They said they're going to build 5 stadiums. No stadiums have been built. Failure number 2. They said they're going to create 5 million jobs.
What type of stadium has been built?
No, that has not been built. It was just renovated. It was 5 new stadiums.
I think
that is the manifesto.
I want to interject.
So 5 million jobs, and only under 2 million jobs have been created, and that's why you're seeing now the NASA team is coming out.
Let's listen to this interjection.
What I'm saying is, I think Mweke is, if that was the question, he'd be making a good attempt. He's not addressing the question on the table about hate speech. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, be bold and candid. politicians are seeing hate speech as an opportunity to get their votes. So they are just saying, we have a space for this hate speech, so don't arrest us.
So it's clear, hate speech is not the same as saying it as it is.
It is not.
You don't have to go that direction for you to be heard. You don't have to incite people. You don't have to talk like you're bruising.
In your opinion, what's inciting?
Inciting is telling people to do what is the extreme of what is expected. Yes. And you don't have to do that for you to sell your strategy. You don't have to do.
For example,
can I just say, Raila was very clear, and he said, do not use hate speech to muzzle or gag the freedom of expression, and constitutionally and legally you are allowed to, even if you say something negative, so long as it is justified. And that's what actually Raila was saying. I mean, I'll give you an example.
As a lawyer, please define the line between freedom of speech and hate speech.
Yes, I will define for you. And hate speech, I happen to be actually the chair of the subcommittee of Legal and Justice Committee last Parliament that came up with this law. So I'm actually the one that was largely in charge of the architecture of this law, so I understand it perfectly. And the hate speech we defined is solely limited to ethnic hate speech. That is, if you are using a language that would incite others against an ethnic community, and
not
it was
not
an individual. If I call you silly, that's not hate speech. It's just bad manners, but it's not hate speech. I'm telling you for a fact.
You're saying it yourself.
Yes, I'm telling you that's not hate speech. If I tell you silly, it's just bad manners, but it's not hate speech. Pretty much the same way I called the president and he called me back. So both me and the president were just bad mannered, but it's not hate speech.
It's not
hate speech. Is when, for instance, I go out and I tell people, remove the Kikuyus out of this area.
Now that is hate.
That is hate speech. Or kill the Kikuyus, or kill the Luos, or the Luos are XYZ. And I don't know what NCIC is doing. There's too much hate speech on social media. You don't need to look for the politicians. There's too much hate speech on social media. If you just go in, the other day I was actually just discussing, you know, somebody was, some young girl, who posted something about saying that I look like her. So I was like, wow, that's nice. So I did a good gesture, invited her to Parliament, and we had tea. And she posted it in Kilimani Moms. And you can see the comments until I want to thank some of the Kikuyu ladies who are commenting also. And they called the other ladies and they said, please come and see how our own colleagues are embarrassing us here. And it was so negative ethnically. Yeah. You can see everybody who was attacking me ethnically.
Then that is not.
Was it targeting you or targeting the community?
No, I will explain to you because I've not told you.
Okay.
They were attacking me as Luo, not as Millie Odhiambo, the MP. It would be understandable. And if you can see the line that it was taking, it was Shiro, Mwangi. And we as Kenyans, we don't want to say those kind of things. If we don't deal with those issues, that's how we go down as a country. When something is bad, we need to mention it as bad. And therefore, as leaders, I want to tell you that as we are going, you know, towards this electioneering period, please let us not use a language that makes people fight along ethnic ground. However, what Raila was saying is, for instance, if I know that, like that for instance the government is giving resources on an ethnically skewed manner,
and you can prove it,
and I can prove it, like I can give you the other day, members of parliament gave a list to the Ministry of Education for allocation to schools. And we were giving to me, I gave 12 schools, and I gave 12 schools, and my community has Luos and Subas. And then the ministry removes all the Suba schools and leaves Luo schools.
Hey, what?
Yes, that is, for me to comment about that, that is not hate speech. I'll say that there is somebody in that ministry that is trying to separate the Subas from the Luos. That is not hate speech. But if you look at it, assuming it was Kikuyus or Luos, and then you say, for instance, that there was allocation to Luo Nyanza, and the Luo Nyanza allocation has been removed, I can comment about that. Fair comment. What Raila said is fair comment. Or like what my sister has just said, that she's saying there's unga available in Kiambu. If I was able to confirm that only Kikuyu areas have unga, and Luo areas or Kamba areas don't have unga. And I comment that that is fair comment by law. It is not hate speech.
So long as you can prove.
Fair comment. But there's a very thin line between fair comment and hate speech.
Okay. First of all, I want to congratulate Honorable Raila Odinga for officially becoming now a candidate, a presidential candidate for the presidential campaign. But I expected him to put his statement in a reconciliatory tone, not as a threat, not as a warning. Because he should have said it in as much as we're doing our campaigns, we expect that whatever we shall be telling our people will be kind of bringing together, not saying don't gag us for hate, don't gag us as we campaign in the name of being accused that we are hate mongers or something like that.
You are paraphrasing his statement.
Yes, I'm trying to say he should have come out more reconciliatory than sending a message of threat, like we are going to do it. Is he planning to do it?
No, he did not. Don't paraphrase what Raila said.
Is he planning
he didn't say that
to use the hate messages, so that is why he is sending the message prior?
Okay,
let me finish my thoughts.
Yeah, you will. We just need to clear this out.
Yeah.
When Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga was giving his gratitude speech, he said, and we expect that moving forward, I'm quoting, I'm not paraphrasing.
Yes.
Whatever we say, you will not use hate speech to gag our statements. He did not say don't or do this or
and it was based on a comment by the chair. And because we have the legal framework governing the whole issue of hate speech, why is he worried?
I can answer that.
Because the chair
maybe you are there.
Yeah.
You are there.
The chair raised it.
And that's where my thoughts wanted to go.
Now you can go on. It's good we took that discourse.
Yes. There's been a lot of clarity, especially from Mheshimiwa Mili, who understands the law. I think Raila, first of all, I was there, but I also understand why he's bringing that up. It's time to go out to the campaigns. And because Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka and the entire NASA team have been fighting for the local normal mwananchi, right, since we've been in opposition, a lot of things that Raila and his team comment about and fight about, we get threatened by one Kaiseri. And I'll give you 3 examples. Number 1, when we commented on the issue of the government going to Laikipia, going to West Pokot, killing and bombing cattle. Went into Western Province and disturbed women and children who are told you're interfering in security operations. The other day we said 10 million strong. We got another warning from Kaiseri. That's hate speech. Why are you saying 10 million strong? Why are you counting your votes before they come? The last one but not least is when we said we're going to tally our votes. We are told you're starting post-election violence. You're going to count your own votes and announce your own votes. But that's not what Raila said. Raila just said we're going to ensure that whatever is tallied, counted at the polling station is what we're going to write down. We're even going to take a picture of the form that the returning officer will issue that's signed by all agents, and we'll send that to our tallying center to ensure that our votes are properly tallied. So those are 3 very good examples. When we say or we fight for the common mwananchi, we are told that there is hate speech. Now,
and that doesn't qualify legally as
it doesn't.
Now, sometimes I listen to Honorable Kaiseri and I wonder that he was my colleague in Parliament and we passed those laws with him in Parliament, and I don't know which laws.
He was actually on your side.
I don't know. Yes, and I don't know what has become of him.
I want to get a perspective.
So now that the whistle has been blown and we are going out to the campaigns, where we used to bring out some of those issues once a week, now we'll be bringing them every hour, every day, because we are out talking to people. And that's why we are saying, let us not be gagged. But if the law is broken, absolutely let it take its course. We don't want hate speech, we don't want incitement. But you just can't gag us for saying the truth, and as Mili said, being able to verify and substantiate what you have said.
Mheshimiwa Barua,
the
thin line between hate speech and freedom of speech.
Fair comment.
Fair comment.
I think as has been expounded.
The way she has put on fair comment, I agree with her totally. If you state things as they are, and you can prove it, that's fair comment. Even if it could be bitter to you or painful to you or to me, that's fair comment. But what I'm saying here, my own opinion here is, when you say remove rules from this place, or remove Kikuyus, chase Kalenjins or Kambas, that to me is incitement.
That is hate speech.
That is actually hate speech.
I'll call it incitement. But when you say that your name betrays you, that is hate speech. Because now you're actually seeing the name is a reflection of your community. So that to me is what can be I can call as hate speech, because you're actually defaming an entire community, and that is what is can cause problem to this country. The other issue is that when you talk about Raila Odinga, I think we are narrowing this debate.
No, because we are focusing on
fine. Fine, I agree now. Because Raila Odinga is looking for votes to be president. Just like us, Uhuru Kenyatta is looking for votes to be president. Even John Nyaga and the rest are looking for votes. And they are going to do whatever it takes to ensure that they get more popular amongst the people they are asking votes from. The same crowd that went to Jacaranda is the same crowd that will be listening to us today at Jawa Road and that Eastlands. You are not going to create a new generation of voters. They are the same crowd. So what is important for us is what you do to convert that crowd into your votes. That's all.
Without necessarily,
fighting. The other thing media has said is that we have been burying so many things under the sand, and that is what's causing tensions in this country.
Because clarity is not.
Let us speak things as they are, so that we can start healing. The earlier the better.
We are over politically correct.
Yeah.
Now, there are other candidates, Ekuru Aukot of the Third Way Alliance, Abdu Badida of the Real Change. They also presented their papers and were equally cleared. Mheshimiwa John Nyaga is expected to be cleared probably later on today, and he brought in a new perspective. Somebody referred to it as the animal race now, because first of all we had the two horses, and then of course Mheshimiwa Nyaga came and said he's the ostrich. Mheshimiwa Ekuru Aukot came and said he's the camel. What are we looking at here? Especially the entrance of Ekuru Aukot and Abdu Badida. I start with you.
I think it's their constitutional right, of course, to press on and to see whether they can be able to win, and I wish them well. But I think for me, the scenario is two types of food that is being cooked. We have one side of Jubilee, one side of NASA. The rest, to me, are ingredients that they are spices that can spice up the meal.
And there are spices that could make a difference, Mheshimiwa Mili, considering the provisions of the electoral law that as an independent candidate you need at least 48,000 signatures. These people represent voices out there.
Well, I would say two things about them. One, yesterday I'm very active on my social media, and I love listening to the voices of Kenyans on social media, and somebody wrote, I actually shared that I am surprised at people like Duba who have been absent when all the wrong things have been going on in Kenya, and then he resurfaces at this point telling us to elect him. And he was like, we think these are the people who want Kenyans who could really easily vote for change, not to vote for change. So me, I think there are some of them who have been brought in really to muzzle the voices of Kenyans who are dissatisfied with the government, so that they have an option, and the option is really to chip into the opposition. I know it is their constitutional right to vie. Indeed, some of them are people very well known to me personally, like John Nyaga. We served with him in Parliament, was one of our leaders. And Ekuru, I've worked with him even when he was starting his career. He started as an intern under my program, so I know them, some of them, pretty well. And
so you have nurtured a presidential candidate? I
think, yes, I have nurtured a presidential candidate. I think his timing is wrong, and I'd want to encourage anybody that is not persuaded that this government is the right government to support the NASA, not to get into a coalition that this young, not coalition, but these small outfits that are not taking you anywhere. They are not likely to pull a Trump in Kenya. We know the architecture and of politics in Kenya. They are not likely to pull a Trump. They may have, everybody has, Lupita said every dream is valid. but this is a valid dream at the wrong time. I think they should have done it in 2022. Let everybody who is dissatisfied with the government vote for NASA.
Before we take a commercial break, and thereafter we'll be looking at the D-Day for Uhuru Kenyatta and for others today. Mheshimiwa Njogu Barua, final one on this topic. Why do you think Raila Odinga is beaming in confidence?
Raila Odinga, I don't know. I don't know this. I think he's beaming confidence, of course, because it's in the public domain that he is using the last bullet. This is the last attempt on the presidency. So it's a matter of do or die. If he doesn't get this time, he has no other time to fight for it. Somebody else will be the candidate for NASA. It will be exist that time, because no political parties in Kenya mutate from this depending on needs. And he said that yesterday I heard him say that what is happening now is a tsunami. What happened in 2002 was
he said what is happening is bigger than
what is tsunami. Now that was a cyclone. This is a tsunami. I want to differ with him. 2002 was actually the tsunami. Right now it could be the cyclone, because as you are saying, it is too close to call. But 2002 it was clear Moi was going home, because the tribal nature of Kenyan politics, the Luos, the Kalenjins, maybe the Luyas, the Kikuyus, the Kambas were in the same boat. Today, I think this is not the scenario. Let him not be overconfident that this is a tsunami. Let him know now that honestly, this is a cyclone, the tsunami is gone.
So, Jonathan, why the confidence?
Charles, if you want to measure the temperature of politics in this country, see what's happening in Nairobi. Nairobi is actually the thermometer that tells you how the national politics is going. And yesterday, after Mheshimiwa Raila and Kalonzo presented their papers, what we saw from City Hall all the way to Jacaranda grounds in Lower Savannah in Eastlands, with the sheer masses of people walking with us through tens of kilometers, you could see in their faces the passion. You could see in their faces the need for liberation.
You have the passionometer. You have the passionometer.
The psyche for hope. And then when we got into the grounds, the kind of energy you saw those Kenyans with from all walks of life. If I was Raila Odinga, I'd have been confident.
So would you say the same thing today if Kenyatta would have the same masses?
I don't think.
I
don't think anything can beat yesterday.
Okay.
Because what I saw, I'm 40 years old. I've lived in
the only unfortunate
what I saw yesterday, I've never seen.
The only unfortunate thing, and I would actually give you this. Just look at the covers of the papers, which is a tragedy. That you look at this, even though there was a great tsunami yesterday, but the front line, it's tsunami. According to you, but if you actually look at that, you can see it's a tsunami. But on top here, really, if you ask this in all sincerity, yesterday was Raila's day, so it should be Raila.
It was
all over. But it is Uhuru turn at IEBC. Put Uhuru tomorrow.
The media
just wait, let me see. I know you are the media, you have to defend. Yeah? Look at this. Raila cleared for a bid against Uhuru. You show us the certificate. Why don't you show us the tsunami? You know? So even where Standard shows the tsunami, but the kind of water it down, we need to see the tsunami. Then look at Taiwan the same. You put Bayern. You put what? Bayern. I know we love soccer. You have a Bayern, and then you put certificate Raila at the corner. So like you're actually trying to tell us, like it's almost like Raila was at a goat rearing function. I mean, it wasn't there.
But the headline is about Raila.
It's about Raila.
No, but it should be. Wait and see tomorrow. Maybe they might, based on my discussion, they might change. But you will see everything splash about this time. Even your headlines will not work.
I think
we need to hear from Mushamba about this. We are talking about the beaming in confidence.
Yes.
Why do you think Raila is beaming in confidence?
One is because he's been able to convince so many of his colleagues to be in his camp, something that I think from the inception of it, when he was trying to bring up the NASA coalition, he was not very sure whether
the NASA coalition was actually brought up by Musalia Mudavadi.
Yes, he was not very sure whether he would be able to contain everybody. And of course, you've been reading what has been happening within the camp, the Wiper camp, within the ODM camp itself, where she's really active. And I think the confidence is not coming from the tsunami itself, as he's calling it, but from the perception that I've been able to tame these guys and I've been able to make sure that I'm on top of them.
Right?
Yes.
Is that the source of the
No.
For me, that's what I
think
interpret.
it's just Raila is just a first amongst equals, so he's not on top of anyone. They are all equal partners. They are all
he has
working
made the other
together.
guys to be campaign managers for him.
No, they are not campaign managers. We take all our leaders seriously, and they are all equal partners in this. It's just that you cannot all 5 of them be candidates, but we take all of them pretty much seriously. The confidence is that we are 10 million strong. We are 10 million strong. If you look at, for instance, the last time part of Western went up with Mudavadi, now it is in. Meru was not with us. A huge chunk of Meru now is with us. Isiolo is coming in. Rift Valley is coming in. We are 10 million strong.
How can you say you're 10 million strong, my sister, and you are not even yet into the campaign? How can you tell?
Yeah, but we are doing the math.
We still have a lot of work to do towards
I think you have
Meru is we are 10 million
Meru is going to speak another language. What's the space?
Ladies, I will gag you and allow the gentleman.
You cannot start talking about 10 million strong, and we are not yet into
we are 10 million strong.
It only started yesterday.
But we started 10 million strong.
I want to ask a question.
Yes.
They cannot say they are 10 million strong.
Sure.
Yes, the campaigns have not started.
Yes.
Jubilee says they are 70% plus 1 and campaigns have not started.
You see, 70% plus 1, you are not exactly definitive.
You are definitive. You are
not exactly you are not exactly definitive in terms of numbers.
It was reactionary after they had
I think the issue
no. The 70 plus 1 thing started way earlier before started the 10 million.
Can we hear from Mheshimiwa Barua?
I just want to make a statement and say that why Raila is becoming overconfident is because
so he's not beaming with confidence. He's beaming with overconfidence.
Or whatever it is. And what happened yesterday, media has put it clearly. Yesterday was his day. True, it was his day. So why is beaming with the confidence? Because yesterday he was competing against himself. There was no competitor in the same show. Today is going to be a different thing. The other thing is this cyclone you see on the papers. It is a cyclone. It's a product of cropping. You look at the back. It is not as dense. The back is empty. But this the back of the crowd, because this is a cropping thing.
No.
You know, cropping. I'm a journalist.
I was there personally. I was there personally.
I was also there. In fact, let me see this.
I was there personally.
This is the point where I asked my director to give us a clip.
Exactly, we're going to see. But
just look at the extreme end of this paper. What is this? This is an open
space. That's a house.
Yeah, it's an open space.
You cannot do that.
But I'm saying this, as long as Mabona was there, Honorable Miri was there, you don't see as much if you are practically there, as much as the person who was seeing on television. But because you can see the details. What I'm telling Miri and their colleagues, wait for today. You are going to see the real tsunami is coming. Yeah, and in fact, I hope tomorrow, I hope give us a chance tomorrow to come and discuss today tomorrow.
Yes.
I'll be here.
And I will tell you something.
Please tell me.
I will tell you something. Are you likely to see huge crowds today? Probably yes. With the buses by the side. No, did you see huge crowds yesterday? Yes, no buses. Yes. People walking over the bus.
Let me ask
you know what, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
For the benefit of viewers out there, it's just important that we give each other a chance to talk. But the different perspectives are allowed. Mheshimiwa Gadoni, before we take
just said that the crowd that was present here, there were no buses. But earlier on, they had said that they are going to have 1 million people in one place. How did you know that? Did you have a way of registering them?
No,
how did you know that 1 million people are going to show up?
We know.
didn't have
we know why.
I helped organize that rally.
I did the logistics.
I did the logistics in Nairobi. And I can answer your question, how we came up with 1 million.
Allow.
If I am planning a meeting and you ask me as a planner, how many people are you expecting? I will tell you I'm expecting 1 million people because I have the nitty-gritties of the logistics towards that. Now, they are saying they did not ferry anybody into the venue. How did you know that you are going to have 1 million people? How did you account that? Did you have a short code where you are registering people? Did you have a register? Or how did you get that confidence to tell the media that you have 1 million people? Yes.
Let me answer my sister on what we call political mobilization. We went all the way because we have party structures to the polling station. And that's how the pollsters do their polls. You get your samples from different parts of Nairobi, and we're hearing people, we're going to Eastlands, we're hearing people from the tip of Nairobi on the other side in Kangemi, they're saying, Tukutane Jacaranda. We're hearing matatus all the way from Dagoretti South, Mutwini, which is supposed to be a Jubilee household, stronghold, saying, the Manambas saying, Beba, 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 Mwisho Jacaranda. People getting themselves and their means into that. No,
matatu buses. Matatu.
I was answering the question on how we were able to get 1 million people at Jacaranda yesterday, and how we planned for it so that the Jubilee people can learn the art of political mobilization.
Fair enough. Okay. Today, ladies and gentlemen, today is a big day for Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Standard says Uhuru's turn at KICC. President Uhuru Kenyatta and 4 other aspirants will have a date with the IEBC commissioners to present their papers and hope to be cleared. Among them is Cyrus Jirongo and Michael Mwaura. Thereafter, President Kenyatta is going to have an opportunity to speak to the public at the Comesa grounds. We'll be looking at that shortly after this commercial break. Always entertaining Carlos, Kiba and the band. We get back to the second last segment of this news review segment of the Power Breakfast Show, and we're looking at the D-Day for Uhuru Kenyatta. Apart from President Uhuru Kenyatta, we'll also be having Joe Nyaga, independent candidate, Michael Mwaura, independent candidate, and Cyrus Jirongo of the United Democratic Party presenting their tickets today. What should we expect, Jonathan?
We should expect Nairobi to come to a standstill. We've seen the route that the president is going to use all the way through Eastlands. It's in a lot of our business corridors, so I'm sure with the presidential security and all of that, we'll expect a lot of business not to happen today in Nairobi. Of course, you expect the president to be cleared amongst the other presidential candidates, because there was some pre-vetting that went on the other day where they picked 10 out of the 17. We also expect to see something on the headlines tomorrow. We don't know if it will be what Neil is talking about, but what I can tell you, I'm not preempting anything, is Jacaranda grounds in Eastlands could hold 1 million people, and Comesa grounds can only hold about 15,000 people. So we'll wait and see the kind of support that the president will get in Nairobi.
What should we expect? The president, of course, will be addressing crowds in Pipeline before he moves to the Outering Jogoro Junction, to Makadara, to City Stadium, Wakulima Markets, Kencom Stage, City Hall, and finally Comesa Grounds.
Of course, we expect quite a huge crowd of people. You know, Uhuru Kenyatta.
About how huge?
The fact that he's not going to stop at one place for quite some time, then we expect quite, distributed crowds as he moves from one place to the other. But Uhuru has been a darling to so many people, especially to the young people. So we expect quite much energetic crowd that is going to be chanting his slogan as they welcome him into the streets. We also expect His Excellency the President to remove his hidden cards now and start dishing his campaign cards to to Kenyans so that we can know what do we expect if he becomes, when he becomes the president of the Republic of Kenya.
Will you be privy to these cards, or are you waiting like as Kenyans are waiting?
Definitely, he's been having a very quite extensive think tank that has been advising him on what to do and how to say it and how to package it.
How expensive?
I don't know. I wouldn't tell. But I know for sure.
You know
he's a man who listens. He's a man who consults quite widely. So I'm sure he's been having people who are planning, his campaigns in terms of how to release information and what information.
I'm interested in expensive.
Unfortunately, I may not be able to say that because I'm not privy to that kind of information.
But it's expensive. That's what we can carry.
Expensive.
I've said expensive. Not expensive. Yes.
Did I hear right?
Yeah, expensive.
I said expensive.
You have been misquoted. Mushma.
Well, I am glad that she has just said that Uhuru will be, what do you call it, opening up a new what?
A new frontier.
A new frontier.
He'll be unleashing
and new goodies to Kenyans. And
not really goodies, she said.
Well, goodies in terms of campaign cards, and that's campaign promises. And I'm just wondering, what are you going to promise Kenyans beyond promising, like what I was seeing? Ruto was saying that when they come in, the price of unga will be at 60 instead. It has gone to 150. I don't know what else they will be promising about slaying corruption, and then corruption has just become, a system, a way of life in Kenya. I don't know what you are going to tell Kenyans when unemployment rate it has 70%. I think for me the only surprise that UK is going to unleash in Kenya is if he says, I think I am, the way he had acknowledged before, mnataka nifanye nini, and he acknowledges that I can't handle it, it's too hot for me, I'm handing over to Raila Amolo Odinga.
Are you saying there is
the only,
are you saying
really I don't think he can, there's anything new
really, from 31st you can leave Nairobi at 8 in the morning and reach Mombasa by 1 o'clock, isn't that?
At what cost? At what cost? Look at how much money has gone into the SGR project, and what we are basically doing is mortgaging this country. Every child that is born in this country is born with a debt over, he said, much more than they had in 5 years ago. So what I'm saying is really this Jubilee government has nothing new to offer Kenyans. It only has negatives to offer Kenyans. In terms of the crowds that my sister is saying they're expecting, I want to say that I'm happy that the president is his team are very clever. They didn't want to show that they want to copy our candidate, so they did the opposite, because we came from KICC as we moved to Jacaranda, and the whole crowd went with us. Now what he's doing is, because they know that they can't pull the 1 million we did, is that he's starting and saying, oh, we are meeting people bit by bit, as she has said, bit by bit, 10 years, 5 years, 6 years,
to continue their businesses.
No, just a smart way, so that the people
that's debatable, considering what
day, my brother.
That's debatable, considering what the deputy governor just said.
You can't pull that crowd.
Mheshimiwa Njogu Barua, what should we expect?
First of all, I'd like to echo what Mary said a few minutes ago about Rupita. She said that every dream is valid. I think she's dreaming too much.
But her dream is valid.
From what she said,
handing over,
it's a dream. It's a dream, not a nightmare. And it's valid. I think what she's having is a nightmare.
It's not a nightmare.
And I think I wish I don't know what to say about that, because it never happened. But what I'm saying is that it's a matter of strategy. Tomorrow, today, in fact, after here, I'm just going to set cabanas so that you can start or be part of the convoy for the Grand March in Nairobi. Today is going to be a game changer. Yesterday was just a Saturday afternoon entertainment for Raila Odinga. People are idle. They are just being entertained yesterday. Today is going to be serious business. We are not going to call our people to move away from Kangemi to go to Jacaranda. We're not going to overburden. We are going to go where they are. We address them from pipeline all the way to Nairobi, Nairobi city center. Then at this commercial ground, the president will be addressing, the people will be accompanying him to get the certificate. Then from there the journey begins. I want to say that the presidential think tank is huge. And
you mean extensive?
It's extensive. And I'm part of it. And I know what you're planning for counties like Kirinyaga and other counties.
So and you are part of the ones giving the wrong advice.
What I'm saying is forget about wrong advice, Mary. Whatever I said by Jubilee must be wrong to you because they're going to beat you. So what I'm saying is that this idea of 1 million Jacaranda, which was not there anyway, it is just a campaign gimmick. We are going to address more than 2 million on the way, and we start after in the afternoon. We shall go move on to other parts of the city, addressing more people and reaching them where they are. You are taking services and politics to their homesteads, not putting them to where we are now.
You know, Charles,
and it is my turn now, you know.
I let him finish, then we'll come.
Yeah, because you are interrupting my thought process.
Okay.
So when you see these people, I mean, my friend Honorable Mweke and Miri are complaining about the coverage of the newspaper. Instead of covering Raila, they are covering Uhuru Kenyatta. I want to tell you that Uhuru is a brand in this country. Uhuru is actually liked and admired in this country. What they are talking about weaknesses about the Jubilee government, there is nothing which is equivalent our government can say about ODM, because they are not in government, they have no responsibility. Theirs is to punch and prick holes on our government. What NASA was supposed to do and what ODM was supposed to do was to keep the government on check.
Did they do that?
It was not supposed.
Did they do that?
They didn't. What they did is to keep pulling the country backwards, so that to ensure that Jubilee does not perform. What they fail to understand is that if Jubilee does not perform, the country does not benefit. They should have been part of this success. Now they are not part of this success. And I don't know what to tell Kenyans in terms of their role as the leaders of the opposition. How did you check this government?
Success here means?
Whatever you have achieved is success. And even
that's exactly what I'm asking about.
Oh, okay. I know what you are reading it through, but let me not go there. But you have done many things.
Like?
For example, people are talking about the railway from Mombasa to Nairobi. It's going to Kisumu.
No, to Nairobi.
To Nairobi so far. Yeah. And you are launching it on fast. I know she's going to ask at what cost. Yeah, that is another hole she's pricking. Yeah. So that Kenyans don't look as if they are benefiting. Corruption. What I'm saying is that let Kenyans enjoy the benefits of this government. Don't tell people don't enjoy because it was done by Jubilee. Jubilee serves everybody. If you look at maternal health care, I mean things like maternity, that's a big success. Primary school and secondary school now going free. And yesterday I was in Kenya called Hot 96, and he was very categorical.
You're saying primary schools?
Free primary education, free secondary education, and
free day secondary.
Which country? We are going to deliver it from January. Free secondary.
In which country?
Uganda.
Mushma, you sit in parliament.
Wait a minute.
It's okay. You sit in parliament.
Yes,
I had this discourse elsewhere.
Yes.
The 2017-18 budget has been approved by you in parliament.
Yes, yes.
There was no provision for free secondary education. Where is the money going to come from?
They have a supplementary budget. We can always do it any time. Yeah.
So this will be a supplementary.
We do it in one way or the other.
Okay.
We can do a supplementary budget any time, as long as we are doing that budget for the benefit for Kenyans, all the way from Suba to Kirinyaga, not just part of Kenya.
Can I just say a sentence before? Just a sentence. He has said Uhuru is our brand. I agree with you, it's a brand, but Raila is the brand.
Romantic. Good one, you know, Charles, if you want to know you're capturing the imagination of your people as a politician, Mheshimiwa Barua asked me about a passionometer.
Yeah,
no meter.
The late Kajwang went without
exactly. When people have so much passion and so much hope for what you're going to do for them once you get into office through their vote, they leave their families, they close their businesses. It's so important for them to live where they are and to come to you, to listen to you. When you have to go to them because they don't have time to come to you, because they're like, what are we going to get anyway, even if we leave somewhere to go to where they are? So that's what I think the president realized, that he can't get people to come to him.
But let's look at the bigger issue. Even as you contribute, then I come to Gathoni. Let's look at the bigger issue. What is the president likely to talk about?
I don't know, because all the things he talked about last time, he didn't do. I was in Kacheliba, West Pokot on Thursday with the NASA Pentagon. I accompanied them there. And let me tell you, primary school and secondary school is not a devolved function. It's a national function. No new school has been built in West Pokot. Children are not going to school. The insecurity there is appalling. Now, how can the president go to West Pokot and tell them, you don't have unga, your kids are not in school, and you have to sleep in the bush because of insecurity, but I've built for you a train from Nairobi to Mombasa? How is it going to benefit that guy in West Pokot?
Using the theory of passionometer. Using the theory of passionometer, I think that is why him and his governor have really failed in Nairobi. Because if they sit in City Hall,
there you go.
If they sit in City Hall and you expect people to come to you so that they can tell you their problems instead of you going to them, then that's why you're seriously failing.
But the governor is always on the ground.
President has to go
the governor
where
is
the
always
people
on the
are.
Okay, Millie.
And he has a history, by the way. Whenever he visits an area, he's keen to know what is the issue. For example, the last time he came to Githurai, you know, just a few days after the Jubilee Party primaries, he discussed with the women what is the issue here, and he was told, we have no water, we have no drinking water, and he actually ordered that the water should be delivered.
And the last time we went to West Pokot?
I was not there, so I don't know. Maybe you were there.
No, I was.
But I'm trying to say,
Nairobi.
For the president to move from one region or to the other of Nairobi, he will be able to understand the issues therein, the underlying issues, and you'll be able now to understand how to find solutions for such underlying issues. So we should applaud him, because he's a president. He should have sat in State House anyway and still do his thing. But he decided to move to Mwananchi, to find the Mwananchi and to relate to Mwananchi in the style that they deserve.
You seem to be sitting at City Hall.
Yes,
and that's
why you are desperate.
The truth never lies. I mean, just look at the way I'm dressed. Do I look like a guy who's going to the office? Honestly,
just today.
So going on the ground to talk to people. We're always on the ground. Yesterday.
Planning on
and Charles can show you the clip.
I think like Mecca is saying that the truth, what doesn't lie? The truth doesn't lie. You know, Nairobi is going to be a duplication of Mumias. Because your governor was the head of Mumias, you know what Mumias is.
Don't say it's going to be.
No.
We have been in office for 4 years. Has Nairobi become Mumias?
Can I finish?
In the Committee of Agriculture, as a person who sits in the Committee of Agriculture, we did a report on Mumias, and it had nothing to do with the Kidera.
And I can tell you,
you are politicizing, and
it had something to do with what?
Forget about it. Yes, I can give you a whole. I can give you
something to do with what?
I can tell you it had something to do with the guys who what are they called? These
cane farmers.
The cane farmers who are subcontracted, and then they supply, instead of now supplying to the Mumias Sugar, they actually there are cartels in between that interrupt this process. They are the ones who now get the cane that somebody else has paid for. That is one. The other thing is about machinery. The other, I think, it's about infrastructure. So it's a whole lot of things. It is about importation. It's about importation of other sugar.
So it's many things.
It's many things. And if we stop politicizing and rescued Mumias, looking at the report, two reports that we have done as a committee on agriculture.
You made your point.
Yes.
Who was in charge of Mumias?
Yes,
I can tell you. Were coming up
when this
during the importation, during the time that
we have even indicated the officers who are responsible in that report.
Who was the boss?
I don't remember the name of the officers. We looked at the boss. One of the bosses was Kidero. Before that there was somebody else. After Kidero there was somebody else. So Mumias has a history, and we have even indicated the persons that we found culpable.
So Kidero's name appears.
No, as the CEO here, we had to call him, but he was not held accountable.
I just needed to have
But he was not held accountable from our committee, unless the report was changed after I left.
Okay.
No, it was the committee. The committee cleared him.
But what I'm saying is that, as Mary is saying, she's a member of the Committee of Agriculture. Of course, I know they did those two reports. I also went to Mumias. It's the first time I'm referring myself this show as a member of a committee, because to me it doesn't add anything. I was a member of the Public Investment Committee, and we have done a report on Mumias. We visited Mumias. We have got facts and figures. Secondly, what media is saying is that there was infrastructure issues, cane farmers issues, and so forth. Who was in charge? Kidero was in charge. And what I'm saying now, because Nairobi is a failed county, is per now, Kidero is going to give us other excuses. In fact, he might even say that my deputy was not effective. Who is with us here?
Now let me ask Barua a question.
Yes.
When Kidero went into Mumias, it was making a loss. When Kidero left, it was making a profit.
Yes, it had turned around.
Can you answer that as a public investment committee?
Yes.
He came in, it was making a loss. He made a cumulative profit of over 13 billion, and he left making a profit the previous year before he left.
First of all, is that true or false?
It's false.
It is true. It is true. Even after
the time Kidero left,
then you are not in the public investment committee.
I mean, you can't judge me. You are so subjective.
You are not there.
What I'm saying is, Kidero left Mumias when Mumias on its knees.
When he came in,
the cartel.
That's my question.
Just a minute.
When I came in, loss. When he left, profit.
When he came in, loss. When he left, it was on sneeze.
No,
okay, Charles, can I come with my file?
It came on its knees after.
And
I can tell you, there was even a recommendation for prosecution. Even you as a CEO, when you know people are doing wrong things, you make recommendations even for prosecution. And that is not done. You expect him to be the director of.
You might be wondering why Kidero is becoming a subject of this debate. It's because of the reference you made that he was in Mumias, and when he left, Mumias was not doing well. And now Jonathan, Kidero's deputy, says he was in Mumias when it was not doing well. When he left, it was doing
where are we
very
going
well.
so far from?
It was doing
Why don't we just go on
Nairobi is doing well under Kidero.
Nairobi is doing well. Go to Mara, go to Pangani, go everywhere.
The genesis,
about Nairobi being a
the only thing we do is that you put garbage in the night, we clear in the morning, you put the garbage in the night.
All right.
You know you every market.
You made your point.
Garbage in the night, we clear in the
made your
morning.
point. Okay. Just Jonathan,
about Nairobi being a failed county.
The genesis of this.
Let me just respond to
just a minute. The genesis of this is what Gadoni said.
Yes.
That the president is going to the people to ensure there is service.
Yes.
Unlike you and your governor, who are sitting at City Hall waiting for people to come to you.
Yes.
That was the genesis.
That was the genesis.
Yes.
But then I think both Gadoni and Barua have said Nairobi has gone to the dogs. And I just want again to ask
Can you address that issue first?
Yes.
No. Genesis. Yeah, this is
I already answered.
You already said it.
Look at the way I'm
let him respond.
I'm not even dressed as a girl.
So you don't sit at City Hall?
I do sit at City Hall. I have to work. But are we not on the ground? You have your programs where you sit at City Hall and serve.
So why, according to Gadoni and Jogu Barua, has Nairobi failed?
I won't even be defensive of that. I'm just going to ask them a few questions. Yeah. We were named as the third most likely place that people want to visit this year in February by World Travel Magazine. People are asked, where are you going to visit this year? They said Nairobi. Will they be visiting a
the airport of the national government?
Hold on. You said Nairobi is failed. I'm just telling you where Nairobi is not failed.
It is doing well. It is
Let me ask you. I'll just ask you three.
I have told you to stop devolving. To stop devolving failure. They like devolving failure.
You are threatening my guest by pointing directly.
Sorry. They like devolving failure.
I need to ask.
They all success but devolve failure. We will not allow you.
Those were the efforts of the national government. Running Nairobi County, is it a devolved function or a national function?
Running Nairobi County should be run by the county government of Nairobi. It's their responsibility.
So it is their success. They did that.
But
they made
you see, Nairobi is in Kenya. So they are
you needed this. We needed Nairobi.
I'm not withdrawing because.
Okay, then I'll ask you another question.
Let me finish. Although Nairobi is a seat of power, we still have national government responsibility, just like we have in Turkana and other counties.
Why did this people...
So you as a management of the affairs of Nairobi
Okay, let me ask
County.
you the second question.
Like you have not paid your doctors.
You wanted us to take Nairobi to Uganda for them to take success.
Let Jonathan talk. For the first time in the history of Africa, Nairobi has now become number 1 in foreign direct investment. We used to be number 4 behind Lagos, Johannesburg, and Cape Town. We've overtaken the 3. We are now attracting the most foreign direct investment ever since this country got independence. Would all those foreigners be bringing their money into a failed city?
Why are they doing that? That's I mean, Jonathan. Why are they? Jogubaro. Why are they doing that?
Because the governor and myself, and indicators of a successful city, we have put interventions. 1, security lighting that has lit up Nairobi, reduced crime, and people are now able to do business up till midnight. Number 2, we've put drugs in hospitals, made them 24 hours, and opened 15 new hospitals and maternity centers, so people now can come and invest in this city because they know if they get sick, they have somewhere to go. Number 3, ease of doing business. Our eGGP, it's doubled revenues. You can now register a business. It used to take 6 months. Now you can do it in 5 minutes and print your own business permit and start business. So we are attracting investors. That's why 39 presidents came to Nairobi. If it was dirty, they wouldn't have come here. They'd have chosen to go to Uganda. Yeah,
They came to Nairobi.
They came to Nairobi.
Kenya.
Yeah?
Nairobi, Kenya.
If it was dirty, they wouldn't have come here, right? Global Entrepreneurship Summit, first time in Africa, came to Kenya. If it was insecure, if it was dirty, if the infrastructure was broken down, they'd have chosen another city to go to.
The international image of Kenya, it does not rest on the country.
They come to Nairobi. You know this conference, this international conference.
Okay, Jonathan.
These international conferences, you have to bid for them.
Exactly.
Just let me conclude.
Yes.
Do you know next month?
Yes, next month.
In July,
June.
We are hosting the IAAF World
Junior
Athletic Championships. I went to bid for it.
Yes.
I went to pick the flag.
Listen,
I signed for it to come. Some of the indicators, they said we are bringing 2,000 young athletes to your city. Is it safe? Can we move around? How is the transport infrastructure? If somebody gets sick, can they go to a
One thing is clear.
Is it clean?
One thing is clear.
And then we won the bid against United States and against Argentina. They chose to come to Nairobi. Why would they come to a failed place?
I think and they have also heard there is a very effective government.
We need to agree on one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that although we have a devolved system of governance, the national government and the devolved governments interrelate and need each other.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, the successes of any county
absolutely
get a contribution from the national government, and the successes of a national government get a contribution from the county government.
And just to echo that, yes, it is Uhuru who brought all those presidents that came here.
Yes.
But if Nairobi was mismanaged, those presidents would not have agreed to come here.
Precisely
so
what I'm saying.
Is right.
I need us to take a commercial break.
But security is a devolved function.
No, we put the street lighting.
One of the factors of security, of course, is
we put the street light.
Another factor, of course, is the police, but street lighting is as
of course. The police,
yeah, I agree.
But the point I was trying to put to you is coming now. Don't try to the rubbish in everything Jubilee has done if you want to be recognized. So this time, no, I want you now.
You said Nairobi is a failed.
What I want to do is from now, this NASA regime, this NASA arrangement should start telling the public Jubilee has done this positively, but don't focus on anything that seems to be a bit negative.
So you want me to say Jubilee has built 5 stadiums?
No, I can tell you one positive thing. I can tell you one positive thing Jubilee has done. Yes, it is positive.
Yes.
It has built the capacity of rich people to get more money. That is positive.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because what I'm saying about Mweke and Nairobi, he is saying that the international community is identified, is giving Nairobi
Nairobi, Kenya.
Nairobi, Kenya.
Very serious status.
Serious status. But I hope that assessment is coming from Wanjiku. Now it's coming from above. It's bottoms up.
No, those are indicators of success.
No.
When somebody wants to come and visit you to your home,
can I finish my
means something.
Wait a minute.
Your home is friendly.
No, what you do, get recognition from home upwards. But then it gets from Abiruka, a country, a city, and occupation.
Jonathan and Jogu Barua, I will tell you one thing. The same way Jonathan is happy to talk about the international conferences and all the rest, and is quick to complain about no primary schools in West Pokot, is the same way somebody else would be happy to comment about SGR and no maize flour in Mbita or some other place. It's a give and take, guys.
And Jambu.
We need to help the citizens make it.
You know, he has accepted even Giambu as no unga.
There's something
President
what my sister had commented about the SGR. She said that it's an extravagant project, if I got her right.
No, not an extravagant project. It has been overquoted. It has been over, yes, and done. It's actually the epitome of corruption in this country. SGR, as was originally designed, was a good thing. In fact, if you actually look at what Ethiopia has done at a less cost, it's a more modern system than what we have at a less cost. But now for us, we are having a poorer system at a higher cost.
Okay.
There is nothing, even Kenya very soon, even us talking here, we will have to be corrupt.
In the history of Kenya,
we will pay him very soon to come to this channel.
Ghost projects in the name of there is expenditure, but there is no physical project. In the case of SGR, there is a physical project done, ready, completed,
and being launched on
31st. According to you, do you think this is a milestone towards development or not?
The question is more like, does the end justify the means?
Exactly.
In your opinion, does it?
Yes, it does.
Not for me, no.
What's more important is we have a railway line. How much does not matter?
When you initiate a project, the cost of initiation of the project is always ahead of what you expect in terms of business language. I mean, the cost of installation of the SGR project from the feasibility studies all the way to the implementation on the ground may look like it is seriously a high cost, but if you look at the years that the SGR is going to serve us, if you look at the costs that are going to be swallowed within the implementation, the use of the platform, then it's justified.
Okay, now that you're defending,
can I respond?
Just a minute. Now that you're defending this,
yes,
and I'll bet very passionately for, I mean, obvious reasons, it's understandable. How does this affect that lady in West Pokot whose child does not go to school?
How does it affect in terms of the consumption?
The cost of SGR.
But the cost of SGR, in terms of, you're trying to say in terms of future? Or now? Now
or in future?
But she put it rightly.
No. Just you. Forget about what she put.
Okay. The money that has been used to put the SGL in place, it's borrowed money, right?
Yeah.
Which we shall pay.
Our children and grandchildren
over time. But the place SGL is going to place Kenya is going to rhyme with what he's talking about. Attracting other people to come and invest in Kenya. And when people come and invest in Kenya because of the SGR services that are going to be associated with the platform, we are going to get more employment coming in. We are going to have the income per capita for that person who is in Bita or whatever, Tibeta, who doesn't have what they don't have today. So this is a bait. We are using the SGR as a bait to up our economic activity, to up our income per capita, to up our gross domestic product.
Can I just respond?
Please, I'll come to you so that you respond to both. Mheshimiwa Barua, how will the SGR impact on the life of that person in the extreme north of Kenya?
The movement of goods and services for Kenyans is interrelated. So if the people from all parts of this country depend on the port of Mombasa for some imports, or most of the imports, by the way, this is the only port you have from one side. So the people from West Pokot are going to benefit from the SGR because their goods will be reaching Nairobi or Naivasha earlier and closer to them. And as we move on, we are going to extend the SGR to other parts of the country. So even the longest journey starts with the first step, or whatever it is, mile or step. Yeah. So that the people of West Pokot are now closer to Mombasa, closer to Japan than they used to be before. You have to notice that. If it's a question of importation of even food, they can arrive in Nairobi even faster, so it can get to West Pokot. So West Pokot, as an example, is getting access because the services will be brought the rest of the world, because the services they used to procure from Mombasa are coming to them faster by coming close. The other thing I want to mention about stand gauge area, I think some people are just there's a lot of double speak here. When we went to Parliament 2013, 2014 or thereabout, there was a lot of talk on what you call SGR and so forth, and 2 parliamentary committees did analyze the whole situation. One of them is Public Investment Committee, whereby the chair of the Public Investment Committee is from CORD, even now they speak, although he has defected to Jubilee. But the chair is from CORD, or was from CORD, and even the leader of minority in the House is a member of that committee. Another senior citizen who has been in Parliament for more than 4 terms, Oburu Odinga, is a member of that committee. And the committee gave it a clean bill of health. It's on record. Together with the costs and everything. Everything. Their signatures are there. So you cannot say that CORD is not a party to this. Okay. That CORD approved through parliamentary participation. Thank you. And this parliament now is different from the 10th parliament and the parliament before. This is a budget making process by parliament. And what a budget approving parliament? It's a budget making parliament. So the budgets are made by parliament. So the issue of costs of SGR squarely lies on the 2 oversight committees that gave the SGR a clean bill of health. Thank you.
What I can tell you, just to correct this notion, this parliament has actually been one of the worst parliaments because of the issue of tyranny. And because of tyranny, actually, our role sometimes has also been merely cosmetic. Because the other parliament, at least people were sober, would discuss issues and persuade each other, negotiate with each other. But it is in the public domain that the cost of SGR is way above what it should be. And even if you look at the original cost because it was not actually a Jubilee project, it's an inherited project, but they have implemented they've executed it at a cost that is way above the cost that was estimated. And then even the design of the SGR has changed. What was intended was like what you have in Ethiopia, which is fairly modern. What you have here is like refurbished. All the trains have been brought in here as modern. And what I can tell you, that I said one of the positive things Jubilee has done is to make rich people richer and poorer people poorer. Well, that is a negative, but the positive is the rich people can really cheer Jubilee because they have thrived. If there's one thing that Kenyans are agreed on, even when I take a taxi driven by a Kikuyu, a taxi driven by a Kamba or whatever, is there is no money. Kenyans are poor, and poverty does not know any tribe. When people are hungry, they are hungry as Kenyans, not as Kikuyus, Luos or Kisses. They are just hungry. And what I can tell you for me why the SGR is not a positive, it's not a positive because it will come, but at what cost? She said that we have taken loans. And it's not only the SGR. Every time you see the president goes out of the country, like the other day I saw all photos all over that he took a photo with the Trump. I would be very happy if you came and said we took a photo with the Trump and have come with the money which is not a loan to do XYZ. But every time he goes out, really I cringe, because I'm like, oh my gosh, more loans on our children, our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, great will be paying. So every child born in this country is born with a debt. So that when we are saying
that has not started with the Jubilee.
It has not started with independent Kenyan. Yes, it started with independent Kenyan, but it has tripled or quadrupled in the Jubilee period. Let me tell you, the loans that the Jubilee has taken, it is unprecedented.
It's all right. That's okay. Yes. But the same way our national budget has gone up.
Yes.
Today we are talking of 2-point-something trillion.
That is
true. We are talking
and
about
I can even query that budget, because if you look at what we put into those budgets and you go and assess whether they are in existence, they are not. That's why we are telling you we must deal with the issue of corruption, which Jubilee has failed.
So finally,
I wanted to say something. Sorry, Charles. I was commenting on SGR and you are not allowing me to finish. I was telling you how does it affect the people in
finish
Pokot?
and tell me if the PIC and the PSC approved it, which is
well. Let me just can I respond to this before I get into PIC, because I've talked to you about the issue of tyranny. But I want to tell you one, that first of all, on the issue of the cost and how it affects Kenyans. Most Kenyans cannot even afford 1,000 or 2,000 shillings to do business. So they'll be using the train to do what? This is a train for the rich people who are going on holiday from wherever to Mombasa, etc. But an ordinary Kenyan to use the train for business, access to credit is zero. They can't do business. In terms of PIC, he has just said himself that the chairman of PIC was in court and has moved to Jubilee, so he was already a Jubilee mall to begin with. So we cannot...
PIC has other members.
Yes, they have other members, but I've told you about issues of tyranny of numbers. So our role is merely reduced sometimes to the tyranny of numbers has made nonsense.
You will tell us about the economies, but we need to make one thing here. Just a minute. How does tyranny of numbers affect my signature? I should be a dissenting voice, even if I'm one.
Well, I can tell you, let me tell you, I cannot speak for them because I have not seen that report and seen whether they signed, and if they did, they will be able to answer for themselves. But this is my position as Millie Odhiambo, Member of Parliament from Bita, who has done her own research, not as a member of PIC or PAC. I can tell you, I smell corruption. I know corruption when I smell it. When I see it, SGR as corruption from heaven to earth.
Somebody said those who are crying about corruption, like me and Millie here, are just doing that because we've never had a chance. That's a debate for another day.
Well,
the economy of SGR.
What is about tyranny of numbers? That the PIC is not like other committees. PIC has a majority of one. You have the other committees are one, which is wait a minute. Other committees, except the budget committee, which has 51 members. Other committees have got 29 members. PIC has 27 members, with the chair being from the opposition.
Who was the majority in PIC?
And with a majority of one, who they're supposed to be oversight in the government.
Okay. The economics of SGR. Before we take a commercial break and move on to
the economics of SGR.
Okay,
let me just break it down as simply as I can,
as fast as possible,
and as fast as possible. Mega projects are very good for any economy because they create employment, they bring money into the pockets of people, and they help people around the supply chain until even the person who's cooking soup for the people who are building the SGR. Now, we had a very mega project called the SGR. The complete opposite happened. Unemployment went through the roof. It's the highest ever happened.
70%.
If you ask anybody, do you know one person who supplied anything to the Chinese for the SGR? Nothing. Even the food they used to eat came from China in noodles. Even the driver who was driving that forklift was Chinese. Every moving part was Chinese. So Kenyans were not given a chance to supply
even PR training,
anything to that SGR. So we didn't benefit from the economics of a mega project. Jobs were not created. We did not supply things to the Chinese. All that money that came in dollars, instead of our currency stabilizing, it moved from what Kina Raila left at 80-something, it went north of 100-something shillings to the dollar. So that project was completely upside down and had no value in our economy.
A final comment on this. We need to move on.
I want to refute what he said. He said that our local people did not supply a thing to the SGL contractor, which is not true. I personally have a relative who has whose vehicle was hired by the engineers for over an year. One vehicle that I can actually show you. This is the vehicle that was leased actually. The rich story.
There they go again.
Thank you. I didn't say it right. I didn't say it right. I can actually show you the vehicle. I can show you the logbook of their owner, and I personally know the driver who was employed.
Kenyans who benefited from.
Yes, because the driver who was hired to drive the vehicle is a local mwananchi.
Mechanic servicing.
Exactly. So you can't say that the local people did not supply anything to the SGR. Those are politics, my brother. Let's look at facts. Let's look at the
I like the way Mweke is telling Kenyans and truths without
But we didn't feel it.
All right.
Unemployment.
And you are so courageous.
Okay.
And you have made your point.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've made your point about this. Let's not take it over.
I'm sorry.
We'll be taking another commercial break, a final one this time. And when we come back, we want to look at the editorial in the Daily Nation. And it says,
IEBC.
Discord at IEBC is bad for the coming fall. Right back after this with Njogu Barua, Member of Parliament for Bishugu, Millie Odhiambo, Member of Parliament for... I keep confusing Millie Odhiambo Mabona. I think it should be Millie Odhiambo Mabona, right?
Yes, I confirm that.
Yes.
Member of Parliament from Bita, Gadoni wa Mushomba, the Jubilee nominee for Kiambu Woman Representative seat, and of course Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor Nairobi. Always a pleasure. Right back after this. Good morning and welcome to the Power Breakfast Show. This is the News Review segment, and this morning I am grateful to have in my panel Mheshimiwa Njogu Barua. As always, a pleasure having Mheshimiwa Member of Parliament for Bishugu, Mheshimiwa Millie Mabona, Member of Parliament for Suba South.
No, Suba North or Mbita.
Or Mbita.
Yes.
What is this confusion about? Is it Mbita or Suba?
The High Court, or rather the Court of Appeal, made a decision last time, and based on a petition by some members of the Suba community, and changed the name to Suba North. I don't know whether IEBC has yet affected, because they keep referring to it both as Mbita and Suba North. So it is both Mbita and Suba North. As of now.
Ask what's in a name. The same question I would ask Penina Gadoni Mushomba. Now officially changed to Gadoni wa Mushomba.
Sure.
You get jittery. What's in a name?
Because people don't really, identify me with Penina. In fact, when we were having our party primaries, majority of my supporters were asking, who is this Penina? If we did the ballot.
So are you saying you lost some votes?
Of course, a lot.
Come on.
Yes.
You had 387,000.
No, I had 400,000. 404,000. Yes, I wanted 600,000 for party primaries. Ambition.
Gadoni wa Mushomba is the Jubilee nominee for the position of Kiambu Woman Representative in the National Assembly. You're welcome. And of course, as always, Mheshimiwa Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor Nairobi.
Good morning.
We start with a look at what's in the papers this morning. The Daily Nation, flights with Raila cleared for bid against Uhuru, and he's likening his campaign to a tsunami and promising unwavering opposition unity. An ebullient NASA flag bearer declares bruising battle with the incumbent Kenyatta, who is expected to present his papers to the IEBC today. Also cleared yesterday Ekuru Aukot of the Third Way Alliance Kenya and Duba Dida of the Alliance for Real Change Kenya. Mheshimiwa Joseph Nyaga was, however, requested to clear some of his papers. Apparently he had presented more money than was expected in a check to the IEBC. A story of interest, and which we'll be looking at in details, is on page 2. 1 million shillings fine for disobeying the 90 shilling unga price rule. On page 3, Ruto will be the death of Jubilee. This is a warning by Kalonzo as Raila gets IEBC a nod. Of course, Uhuru heads to the City Hall via Eastlands. He'll be having stopovers from Pipeline Estate in Embakasi, Jogo Outer Ring Road roundabouts to Madaraka, City Stadium, Mudhurwa, Wakulima, Railways roundabout, and finally Kencom before he arrives at the KICC to present his papers, and thereafter address his supporters at the Comesa grounds. Now, page 4, it's becoming an animal race. First we had the 2 horses, then came in the ostrich, Joe Nyaga, and now there's a camel in Ekuru Aukot. It's incidentally turning out to be an animal race. Page 6 of the Daily Nation, presidential aspirant held after a suicide bid. But of interest this morning, and something that we'll be looking at in details with my panelists here, is the editorial on page 14 of the Daily Nation. Discord at IEBC bad for the coming poll. The Standard, flights with a massive turnout at the Jacaranda grounds yesterday during the rally by NASA after Raila Odinga presented his papers, and he says, this is the time, Raila's wave of optimism. I believe I'm more confident now than ever before. We as NASA family have prepared for this contest, and we're going for victory on August 8th. This is our time. Also on the Standard, big page 7, big day for Uhuru Kenyatta as he turns out at KICC to present his papers. A story of interest is on page 12 and 13 of the Standard. Boarding schools to be audited and why many may be closed to pave way for day schools. This is in reference to a report that was released after investigations were carried out in regard to school fires, where almost half of the 8,592 secondary schools in the country that are boarding experienced fire incidences across the country in the last few years. Also in the papers, IEBC clears candidates for various positions. Na katika gazeti la Taifa Leo, masuala yaliyopewa kipaumbele ni kwamba kimbunga chaja, asema Raila. Kinara wa NASA Raila Odinga asema kwamba wimbi la sasa la muungano huo ni dhoruba kali hata kuliko tsunami ya muungano wa NAK mwaka 2002. Bwana Odinga alisema kuwa kinyume na awali wamejitayarisha vilivyo kutoa ushindi, na kwamba ni dhahiri kwamba asilimia kubwa wa Kenya inawaunga mkono katika azma yao. Gentlemen and ladies, story on page 2 of the Daily Nation. 1 million shillings for disobeying the 90 shilling per 2 kilogram price for unga. Mheshimiwa Barua, I start with you. Is this punitive?
What I have not...
Or you've not had a chance?
Yeah.
The retailer selling the 2 kilogram packet of subsidized maize flour above the recommended 90 shillings price risk a fine of 1 million shillings. This follows the publication of a Gazette notice giving legal backing for state control of sifted maize flour prices. Is this infringing on the liberalized market kind of thing?
That's a tough one. Finding a fine of 1 million shillings for selling two packets instead of one?
No, for selling
about 90,
one pack at
about
more than 90 shillings.
Oh, well, I think it's not so punitive because the recommended price is 90 shillings. So I don't see why anybody should sell over and above 90 shillings. Because I'm sure for them to get the unga at the retail price of 90 shillings, they must have had their discount, and that discount is their margin. So in my own opinion, this is no more business ethics, and it's also about integrity, because we talk about integrity among about honest readers. So even the business community should have integrity. Let's stop the politics of 90 shillings. Let's look at it as a business issue. If the retail recommended price of something is 90 shillings, please sell it at 90 shillings. Whether the 1 million shillings is so punitive or not, that's not the issue. But I think it's not ethical for somebody to exploit the poor by selling unga at the price they are not recommended.
Mheshimiwa Milly Mabona, where does this lie, considering the call that everybody has been saying Kenya is a liberalized market? Willing buyer, willing seller.
Well, I know Kenya has the concept of a willing buyer, willing seller. My challenge would be the proper legal anchorage. I'm not really too sure whether that has proper legal anchorage, that you would actually make such drastic actions through a Gazette notice. And even a Gazette notice, we know that subsidiary legislation now must be passed through Parliament. I know I was in Pan-African Parliament the other week, so I don't know whether that really did come to Parliament. So really, I think the traders will first of all be challenging the legality thereof. And if you ask me, I think for me this is really just an attempt by the government to cover up a really bad situation.
Apparently it did come through Parliament in September 2011, where President Mwai Kibaki signed into law a bill that allowed Kenya to return to price control of essential commodities. The practice had been abandoned in the 90s, and now the Minister for Finance of the CS Finance is using that to set maximum prices of gazetted commodities.
Well, if it is that what I'm telling you, I'm not too sure. So if it is actually, because I haven't read that, if it is actually anchored in law, then there is no problem, because the law must be followed. But on that note, what I would actually want to say, for my really for me the issue is not even just about the 90 shillings, but if you actually look at what has been trending on the social media, It's not that people are selling at 90. It's that there is no unga. I saw somebody even wrote, please just bring back the 151 or 201. What we need is unga. They are not there. But of course, if somebody is selling unga at above 90 shillings, because this is subsidized unga, it should actually, if you ask me, it should even not be subsidized. When you have in a crisis like this, it should be free. It should be free, especially if you have the brand of the government of Kenya. It means it is essentially, it should be free.
I think I would like to say that the issue of free, the complaint from Kenyans was the unga was too expensive. So putting it from 140 to 90 shillings
is as good as free.
I think it's not as good as free, but it's something which Kenyans can afford, and that's where we are.
Okay.
First of all, the price, the 90 shillings per packet, I will support my brother. It was the right step in the right direction to take care of Kenyans and most of all the consumer. However, the issue of the 1 million fine if you are not able to abide to 90 shillings per bag, I would want probably maybe to recommend that we look at the structures of power of supply and demand. When the demand is too high, it is completely impossible for you to tame, you know, the price, because it's a willing buyer, willing seller. And we also should have done some audit to check who had the old stock of maize before we brought in the subsidized lot, because most business people are arguing, I had quite a lot of this stock and I cannot afford to sell at 90, yet there was no audit done so that we can be able to take care of the difference between the old price and the new price. So some audit should have been done and some structural arrangements should have been done. However, we really appreciate the milestone towards the 90
Jonathan, are we looking at a situation where if you have branded maize flour, the one that has the recommended retail price with GOK logo on it, you should sell it at 90, but if you have the plain one, you can sell it at whatever price you want, depending on how you got it?
Yeah, that's the way really it should be. And that's why I guess they branded it GOK, so that you can differentiate from the subsidized one and from the stock that was there before. And the fine is in order really, because you know the one that is branded GOK has been subsidized, and what a subsidy means is that the government has already paid for you the difference. Yeah, the millers are not going at a loss. That's why the government fished out 6 billion shillings to reduce the price of unga. So the government has already paid. If a business person or a retailer is selling above that price for the GOK maize, then they're punishing the consumer twice. You know, this thing is not free and it's not cheap. It's been paid by the taxes of the same Wananchi who's buying it at 90 shillings.
Through the taxes. Through the taxes.
But you know, what Mheshimiwa Mili has said, last week I was in Kiminini, I was in Kitale, I was in Kapenguri and West Pokot, and we asked the people there, there is no maize, there is no unga in the shops. In fact, some of those people were saying they only see the unga in the TV, and they were asking, kwani unga iko wapi? Is it in State House? Is it at the DP's place? Where is it? Because it's not there. So the price now is neither here nor there. What people
the availability is the issue.
Is unga. Yeah.
But I think
is there unga in Kiambu?
Yes.
The 90 shillings.
Quite much. Quite much. I think it's issues of.
Are there restrictions on how many packets one can buy?
No. But I think what we need to look at is a chain of distribution. What are the handles in the process of distribution? The farther you are from the millers, the worse it becomes, because of course they're looking at the cost of transportation versus the efficiency of letting go the stock. So I think for me, in areas of central, maize is available, unga is available because of the proximity to the source.
Oh, so people are now getting punished inadvertently for being far away from millers.
Not really punished, but it's the powers, it's the structures of supply and demand.
Okay.
Well, I think for me that is actually wrong. Because if the government knows that we are facing a food crisis, coming in here to subsidize means the government is trying to reach the very hungry, and it is the responsibility of the government to reach everybody everywhere. Just I think 2 days ago I saw in the papers a lot of places in this country The shelves are empty. I think even here in Nairobi, the shelves are empty. Even the other day, I had many visitors. Myself, I wanted to go and buy unga. And the person I sent told me I can only afford 2. Really? Surely, I think even if I can't get access to unga, how do you expect other Kenyans? But I think there's another more serious issue for me, is that there are areas where even that unga does not reach at all, and they rely on the local maize.
Yeah. The unsifted.
Unsifted maize. That is not subsidized. So the situation in the rural areas is still really dire.
Would you have recommended a different approach to this?
Yes, I think so.
And which is?
I think for me, actually, what the government should have done is really, because we know the crisis. I sit in the Committee of Agriculture, and I am glad the PS finally acknowledged that the government did not take appropriate action at the right time. We gave this warning as the Agriculture Committee more than a year ago that there is a looming crisis of unga, and because a lot of places, especially our food baskets, had failed crops, and the farmers tell you, even my own area, which is not maize rich, had indicated to me, these people tell us, that's why we are representatives, and they told us, Mheshimiwa, go and tell Parliament that we are going to face a food crisis. And if you ask my committee, I also told the CS for Agriculture more than a year ago. So if it is a failure on the part of the government, what they should do is not even subsidize, is to provide that food absolutely free, because of their own failure.
Here is a situation. We have a subsidized unga retailing at 90 shillings. It's abundant in some areas. Some people only see it or hear about it on radio. Is there something the government would have done beyond just setting the price to make sure that all Kenyans access this commodity?
I think, to me, this maize should be available to each and every Kenyan. And the fact that we have a devolved system of government, we have got 47 counties. I think we can use that is a basis of distribution. I'm not sure that there's so much unga in Kiambu, as my sister is saying, because I live in Kiambu myself.
You do?
Yeah, I do live in Kiambu. I come from Kiambu this morning. But the point here is, this maize should be available in Kapenguria, should be available in Marsabit and Kirinyaga and Kiambu at the same level. Because hunger is affecting everybody, regardless of the political affiliation, whatever it is. Because the reasons behind this hunger are almost uniform. So I support merely that this unga should be available to each and every Kenyan. Actually, should be accessible. But the issue of giving free, there I differ, because the maize came at a cost. But what I say is that this unga should come at an affordable price, which Kenyans can afford to.
And can reach everybody.
Can reach everybody. The issue here is access.
Charles, what interesting as you give your perspective on this, on page 2 of the Daily Nation, governors have now challenged the government to explain why it has taken too long to stabilize food prices. Council of Governors Chair Joseph Nanok has asked the Jubilee administration not to play politics with the life of Kenyans. He says although this is a campaign season, the government should own up and not shift to blame to county government. We are not to blame.
Yes.
I'm raising that because we just mentioned the issue of we have a devolved system government.
Correct. And that's what I was going to contribute. What should the government have done? Yeah. Number one, they're subsidizing the wrong people. They're subsidizing the millers. You should have subsidized the farmers. This whole thing should have really started with the farmers. You give them affordable fertilizer. You make sure they have implements. Charles, the average age of our farmer now is 62 years old. So the young people are not farming. During the coalition government with Kalonzo, Raila and Kibaki, 90 kg maize used to retail at 3,300. The Jubilee government came in, it came down to 2,300. That's 1,000 shillings less. So the farmers are now less incentivized to plant maize. That's why you're having this crisis now. Problem started there. Then number two, the Jubilee government refused to devolve agriculture fully. So the fertilizer still remains at the national level. It should have been devolved to the counties. The dams that are being built, water and irrigation under Schedule 4 is a devolved function. We kept the money up there. Yeah, that's why the counties and the governors are saying you can't blame us. But since agriculture is devolved, if that was devolved fully and the resource resources followed, then the governors at the local government level understand their counties much better than the national government does, and they would have been able to support their farmers well enough so that we can produce food for this country.
Even with the devolved functions, we still see cases of lamentations here and there about service delivery. Do you think county governments would have been able to deliver this precious commodity to everybody?
Yes, I believe the governors should have been, or the county government should have been able to deliver the demanded agricultural inputs effectively and efficiently, so that they can be able to take care of the gap that is existing. I want to remind them that the national government, through the body that does agricultural research, about 4 or 5 years ago did a report that was out to everybody concerning the MNLD, the maize lethal necrosis disease, if you do remember, which really affected the production output in the food basket of Kenya. And this report was consumed by every governor. I mean, everybody knew that there was a problem with a certain maize disease, that every county government needed to know what to do so that they can be able to avert the situation. But they did not do anything. Let them tell us, what did the governors do in their own county government to avert the situation then, so that this whole pattern of shortage, because this has not been just a one season shortage. The maize shortage in Kenya has had a history from about 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. And farmers can attest to that, they have not had a good harvest because of maize lethal necrosis disease. And we still, even now, don't have a solution.
But apparently, from Jonathan's argument, the issue is the finances. You give us the responsibility, yes, you devolve the function, yes, but it doesn't come with money.
No, I disagree with that, because there are some governors who are on record have been distributing fertilizers. It has not only been issues to do with the finances. We have, for example, in Muranga County, even as we speak, the governor is distributing fertilizer, subsidized fertilizer. So I think it's an initiative of each and every county governor to take responsibility and say, yes, we failed in this and we need to come up with a solution.
But the governor to blame?
I think I don't
come to you, Jonathan.
Okay, I don't want to place blame on any governor or anybody, because it's a real national crisis. But I want to say that the real problem is not the money the county governments received, it's the priorities. I've just read in the newspapers there, I don't know what page of the Nation, that the governor of Laikipia spent 150 million shillings only to improve agriculture. To me, that's meager, and it's actually in the papers today. So what does it mean? Agriculture was not given priority. And what I'm saying here is that this is a political issue. As much as members of parliament, senators, and the MCs are fighting for their life, political lives, the governors are also doing the same. So what they are doing something which can make them popular. I'm more conversant with the county of Kirinyaga, because that's where I come from. But I've not seen any initiative to improve agriculture from the county government of Kirinyaga. And in fact, there's one time, I want to say this on record, that when somebody came to audit the performance of our county government, one of the most senior county officials was very proud to say that they have built so many toilets. And I'm saying this on record. There have been so many toilets. That's a priority. The other thing is this issue. We are taking like
a healthy nation is a productive.
Hey, I'm just
we know the effects of not having toilets. I'm
not opening that for debate.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. But I'm saying that this issue, from a scientific point of view, we should take it seriously. What is happening, like me when I was going to school, I was educated from money from maize proceeds. Today, the same piece of land which used to produce 10 bags can produce on 1 bag, because the soils have been exhausted. So we are talking about supplying fertilizers to Mwananchi, and because of overuse of fertilizers, the soils have become more acidic, they have mutated, and they are not as productive.
Counterproductive.
It's counterproductive. So what you should do as a nation is to see how well can you actually recover that productivity. If you recover that productivity, it's good for the nation. But if we continue politicizing this thing,
we'll get diseases like the one.
Those diseases, we get unproductivity, we also get hunger throughout. The other issue is a question of urbanization. we are getting funny way of housing this country now. You see, somebody is having 1 acre of land, and you are spending half of it on your housing. We need to think our housing policy so they can set free a lot of land for agricultural production. Yes.
Well, I think even though sometimes people want to look at it as politicization, sometimes it's very difficult to draw where to draw the line between politicization and governance.
Yes.
Like I tell you, sitting from the Committee of Agriculture, all these things that we are saying here, we have discussed them all these years that I've been sitting in the Committee of Agriculture since I was elected, and we have advised the government. We have experts there. In fact, for me, it has actually been a learning curve, because I never grew up in an agricultural setup, but it has been a learning curve. And I want to say that if you look at Galana, for instance, and part of the government initiative to make the country food secure was Galana. And the whole of Galana was stolen, really. It has went up because we actually, as a committee, we discovered that there was so much corruption and that it was not done the way as a committee we had been told. We raised the red flag with the government. Nothing has been done about it. If you look at the production in Galana, it is actually laughable if you look at the amount of billions that have been put into it.
There's this argument time and again that Galana Kulalu is a long-term project. The initial setting up was of course bound to cost more, but the production, the yield would grow as time goes.
What I can tell you from the Committee of Agriculture, that is the PR one that we want to tell the media to cover up for a rot in Galana. I sit in that committee, and the committee was very clear about the rot that was in Galana, and then politicization came in when now as a committee, because originally when the committee even visited, everybody was agreed that really that was a white elephant thing. But then after that, which is actually another challenge in terms of tyranny of numbers, a very big difference that I see between this parliament and the last. The last parliament was a bit more objective, that people would come in and say this is wrong, this project, the governance issues are very serious, there's been a lot of corruption. But in this one we had to soothe it and cover it so that the government doesn't look bad. While Kenyans are starving. So the government, the national government, must also be clear. If there is something that is devolved, do not hang on to it, and then when it's failing you blame county governments. If agriculture is devolved and you want to give the full authority and mandate to counties, then let them have that money. Don't hold on to some of it, and then when it is failure you want to devolve failure. Just take responsibility for holding on to responsibilities that shouldn't be yours.
Fair enough.
Let the county governments have the money.
Final word on this before we take a commercial break.
Yeah, the key here is with the devolution. The policy I'm hearing my colleagues talking about is good, and that should remain at the national level. So the Ministry of Agriculture should be looking at productivity. How many bags of maize do you need to get from an acre of land? Should be looking at what to do with these diseases.
Policy matters.
Yes, should be looking at which counties need to produce what to be able to feed the nation. Yeah, and then you leave the governors to be able to buy your fertilizer, not distribute, because this fertilizer was all brought by centrally, then given to governors to distribute. And you saw in some areas the fertilizer was even killing the plants. Yeah, that was reported some time ago. So you let the governor know that in my county, this is the soil, this is the right fertilizer for the crop that we are growing in this county.
Like Njogu Barua.
Exactly. So that you can localize people's situations. And the government up here, the Ministry of Agriculture and the CARI, the Agricultural Research Institution, they just drive policy to ensure that we are food secure.
A wake-up call as we head towards electing another crop of leaders. That's no Kenyan would wish to undergo a situation akin to what we are going through now because of the issue of the maize flour crisis. We'll be taking a short commercial break. Mheshimiwa Jonathan Umweke, Deputy Governor Nairobi, Gathoni wa Mushomba, Jubilee nominee for position of woman rep in Kiambu County, Mheshimiwa Mili Mabona, Member of Parliament for Mbita, also known as Subano, and of course Mheshimiwa Njogu Barua, Member of Parliament for Gishugu. Right back after a short commercial break. the last segment of this news review, part of the breakfast show this morning. We are looking at the editorial, the opinion by the editor on page 14 of the Daily Nation. Now, there's discord at IEBC, and it's bad for the coming poll. The credibility of an election is determined not just by the way people vote and the results are tallied and announced, but also by the process and the level of preparation. This is the reason we are concerned about the ongoings of the Electoral Commission, where we keep receiving reports about disagreements between the Secretariat and the commissioners.
That's very worrying.
This is just 70 days before a big election,
yes,
with a lot of interest internationally and more so locally. Your take on this?
It creates a lot of uncertainty when we hear, of course, because we are not part of the commission, so we don't know really. For me, I don't really know what happens, but when I read such reports, what I read yesterday, what I had read on Saturday, it, as a candidate, I mean as an aspirant, it makes me very uncertain. Yes, and it's something that is really worrying. So we don't know whether we are using the act properly, we are implementing what is supposed to be implemented in the right way, but at the end of the day, we need fairness, we expect fairness, we expect impartiality, and of course we expect fair results.
Is that expecting too much with such a situation in our hands?
Well, I would want to say it is totally rather unfortunate, and I want to agree with Honorable Gathoni that it's a worry that at this point, and it's only 2 months, and we're seeing a disagreement, and it's not the first one. I think there's also disagreement on returning officers. And normally what happens is that when you see this, there's usually some political hand playing, somewhere, and that creates some kind of rift, and you'll find that the Secretariat then differs with the commissioners. I don't know where the political hand at this juncture is. I don't know whether it is at the commission or at the Secretariat. But then the argument that will always come to play is that they will say that there will be an argument that the commission should be focused on policy and let the Secretariat implement, sort of like the county government and the national government issue. But I think whatever the circumstance, Kenyans should not be treated to psychiatrics at this time, because we must have confidence in the IEBC going forward, and this is really not the time that they should be pulling and pushing each other. It should be a time that they should be ensuring that we gain confidence in them and as an institution. But when we see this kind of push and pull, it's no longer 2 months really.
And as far as Kenyans are concerned, the Secretariat and the Commission are IEBC.
IEBC.
No one.
So it's very worrisome, and I think we need to get to the bottom of it to see what Kenya. Nothing happens like this for no reason. There's some politics under.
Are this the results of an inexplicit law?
Yeah, I think now you see why Millie and her team sometimes carry Firimbis into Parliament. When the Election Act was being amended the other day, where the Jubilee government wanted to make sure that there's provision for manual backup, while the previous law said we are now digital. Why do you want to go manual? I think what the government or whoever sponsored that amendment should have been looking at is, do we have in that Elections Act explicit roles between the Secretariat and the Commission? Because that way, if everybody knows their lane and what they're supposed to do, you find they're not stepping on each other. Here, this discord, you'll see, Charles, is caused by 3 things. One, there's the printing of ballot papers, where some commissioners are saying no, award it to the team that the court refused. Some of the people in the Secretariat are saying no, we have to go back and give direct tender to somebody else to print it. This is affecting our timelines. We need ballot papers ready by the 8th of August. The second thing was the reshuffle of the returning officers. The Secretariat went and reshuffled the the returning officers. It's an administrative thing they should have done. Yeah, but the commissioner said, how did you do it without telling us? We should have known, we should have made that decision. That's a clear indication that there is not definitive on what the commissioner is supposed to do and what the Secretariat is going to do. The last thing is when the commissioners went and sent home on compulsory leave the IT director, and appointed another one. And the Secretariat said, wait a minute, that is an administrative issue. We are the ones who should have done that. So that push and pull, like Honorable Millie is saying, some of us who are election stakeholders can begin to smell a rat, which is very dangerous, because 2 months to the election you should be having full confidence in that electoral commission. So I think the Elections Act needs to be looked at properly to see if those roles are defined clearly between the commissioners and the secretary.
Jogu Barua, is politics circumventing the law?
I would like to start by saying that between now and August, the institution that's on the spot is IEBC. IEBC, if they operate professionally and ethically, this country will have a good future. So that both the commissioners and the secretariat should know that they owe us Kenyans a major responsibility. I mean, they should be very responsible. What I take, my take is this: the commissioners should operate in a very competent manner. The same case should apply to the secretariat. So both organs of IEBC must portray the highest level of competence possible and neutrality, objectivity, because whatever decision they make for this country is going to determine our future. Either you're in NASA or Jubilee, that's going to be relevant.
And while at that, maybe you give your final comment.
Yeah, no, I'm just going there. The other thing is that this commission is a negotiated commission between the then court and the Jubilee. Given that is the group of 7 that met to discuss that. This commission found the secretariat there. The secretariat was not tampered with. So it was not actually audited as it was proposed by a few people. So that sense of autonomy is coming because some commissioners may be feeling more aligned to NASA and others more aligned to Jubilee. Those commissioners must walk the talk and bridge the gap and work as a team, period. The other thing I would like to say is that as I make my closing remark, is that I happened to work for 2 years in a refugee camp, both in northern Kenya and southern Sudan, and I was serving the people who had fled war from 7 countries, and I saw the problem of insecurity, and this thing is brought by political differences. What I would like to say is that nobody is bigger than a constituency, a county, or this nation. We should be able to go as a nation, have a transparent election, so where every vote counts, and peace will be there from now and the future.
Thank you.
If you don't do that, you continue trying to do monkey tricks, monkey business, there will be a problem. So let the best team win. Although I'm sure Jubilee is going to win, but I'm saying let the best team win. That is why, as a person, refused to run for my constituency, because I thought my running would divide my people much more. So I want to call upon the IEBC, please IEBC, wake up and walk the talk.
Thank you.
Don't do something different.
Thank you very much.
I think I want to, very rare moments when I agree with him, except of course where he thinks Jubilee is going to win. But I agree with him that IEBC needs to conduct very transparent and just process, and we need to have confidence. So please, can they make sure they do that? And I want to urge Kenyans that let us be peaceful as we go for the elections. And very last one, I want to urge this government to be mindful of Kenyans, and especially the women of this country. The other day I saw that they have now started, they are coming up with a policy on menstrual cycle, all headed by men. What do men know about women's menstrual cycle? This government, sorry. I think you know more. This government needs to be serious. Men know more. They cannot control. You don't know how, even what you call dysmenorrhea. You don't know how painful cycles are. You don't know how that we have different. Please, let women deal with their issues. Let women deal with their issues. This government, now they have taken longer. They are even taking our menses.
Thank you.
So my closing remarks. First of all, I would want to request that our leaders, that is leaders from the Jubilee arm, the leaders from the NASA arm, should remember that we need Kenya intact after 2017 elections. We need Kenya intact. We need to live harmoniously. They are the people we expect to be the catalyst of cohesiveness and harmonious living. So whatever they say on the platform, campaign platform, we expect them to be the pillars of reconciliation, the pillars of harmonious living. Two, I want to applaud Jubilee government, for especially our Jubilee party, for giving women an opportunity to play leadership roles. I am not agreeing with my sister Millie when she says that UNGA issues are women issues. They are no longer women issues. They are family issues that I think our government has taken the bull at the horns, and I thank God that there's some light, at the end of the tunnel.
Jonathan.
Yeah, I echo my colleagues. The whistle has been blown. Campaign period has officially started. So Charles, you'll not see me in suits anymore. Now we're going to be out with the people, accounting for what we've done in the last 4 years. So I just urge all the politicians out there, if you're looking for a seat, do it safely, give your issues, no hate speech, no incitement. Look out for us. Our Nairobi NASA campaign team is called Team Kazi, because we work for you, and we'll be going around telling people why it's important to support Team Kazi.
The good thing about all voters, the 21 million thereabout of them, is that they have at least one of the basic senses. You can either smell, you can see, you can hear, you can taste, or anything. Other than depending on what is going to be spewed during the campaigns, the under the belt hits, the lies, the truth, and everything. You are able to see, you're able to hear, you're able to smell, you're able to taste, you're able to think. It's a decision that only you can make. The question is, what my panelists have asked, is the IEBC ready to let Kenyans exercise their democratic right? The challenge is on them. As always, the challenge is on you, the voter out there. Yesterday it was Raila Odinga and others presenting their papers. Did you plant any tree to commemorate that? Today it's Uhuru Kenyatta. This is my pet subject. Plant a tree if you love Uhuru Kenyatta to commemorate the day he was cleared by IEBC. Talking of IEBC, Stephen Leto, our very own senior reporter, is waiting at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where, some he took, where I'm told, is at the KICC, ready to tell you more about the clearance of candidates today. And the first one in the line this morning will be Justus Juma. Always a pleasure having you, my panelists. Jogu Barua, Emilio Odhiambo, Gadono Mushomba, and Jonathan Mweke. My name is Charles Odhiambo. Before I leave you, Sam Gituku, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Charles.
Tell us what's happening at the Kenyatta International Convention Center.
Right, Charles, this is the second day and the last for the presidential nominations, and what we're experiencing currently is that everyone is ready, waiting for the arrival of Justus Juma, who is the presidential candidate or the aspirant for the Justice and Freedom Political Party. And today is a very tight day because already it's 3 minutes to 9 o'clock, and there are 7 aspirants who are lined up to come and appear before the IEBC commissioners. Of course, bearing in mind that yesterday Joe Nyaga did not make it. He had some issues that were not cleared, and so he was sent back to go and review that. So we'll be trying to see how soon Justus can arrive here, but also to highlight the other candidates who are supposed to be appearing before IEBC includes a gentleman by the name Michael Wainaina, another one called Erastus Nyamera, who should appear before the IEBC commissioners shortly after Justus Juma. He is vying as an independent candidate, and then after Michael Wainaina there will be Kwa Jirongo, where we have known him as Cyrus Jirongo, but the name that has been indicated in the program for IEBC is Kwa Jirongo. He's representing United Democratic Party. And then after that there will be Uhuru Kenyatta, of course the president, running on a Jubilee Party ticket. And then after that we should be expecting to have a gentleman by the name Japhet Kaluyu, who is also an independent. He says that he's from the diaspora. He has spent some time in the US, and so he's also looking to contest for the presidency, so that he will be appearing shortly after Uhuru Kenyatta to see if he will be considered for that. And also we're expecting Joe Nyaga to come back any minute, because yesterday he was told that even as he goes to put his record straight to ensure that he is able to deposit 200,000 shillings instead of what he had deposited as 250,000 shillings. He was told that he needs to go and correct some of the things so that that can be taken into consideration and see whether he will be cleared. So what we're waiting here is for the arrival of Justice Juma. We have an indication from the IEBC commissioners that he is almost here, but unfortunately it's raining outside, so it could be a challenge for some of the people to make their entry here, but we'll be expecting to see how soon he can arrive. But Charles, the indication, what you have seen in the hall, the Shimba Hills Hall, where the IEBC commissioners are getting to process the various aspirants who appear before them, it's just the commissioners are just waiting. They are in their holding room waiting for the arrival of that candidate, because as per the scheduled time, he was supposed to be here by 8 o'clock. We do not understand why he is late, but of course he will be getting that opportunity to come and interact with the commissioners, present his papers, and see if he can be cleared to contest for the presidency. And so what we have to do, there's a car making entry here. We don't know whether he is aboard that car, but we wait and see. If that's not the case, then we might have to hand it back to you so that we continue waiting for who arrives. Let's see who arrives from that car. Charles, of course, this has been the story since yesterday. And yes, Charles, this is Justice Juma, the presidential aspirant for Justice and Freedom Party, of course, accompanied by some few persons, 2 ladies and 1 gentleman. Well, 3 ladies and 1 gentleman, of course, making their entry here. He is going to use the wrong gate. He is supposed to be using this other gate because he's a presidential candidate, and so they'll be ushered towards where we are standing, and here he is. So what we have to do, Charles, is that we have to walk with him up the stairs so that we can take him through the process, so that we do not keep the IEBC commissioners waiting for so long as we wait to hear from him. And there he is, Justice Juma, Justice Zacchaeus Juma, contesting for the presidency as an independent candidate, of course. Sorry, for Justice and Freedom Political Party. Right, and how is your morning?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, here is a blessed morning.
Sorry for the rain, but
yes.
Does that signify anything?
Well, it's a blessed nation.
Right.
Yes.
So proceed on. I think you have to be handled. You have to be processed here by the IEBC officials. And so, yes, Charles, that is Justice Juma making his entry into the IEBC hall, where he will be being processed to see if he should be cleared to be a presidential candidate. There he goes to indicate his name as Justice Juma, and his political party is JFP, that is Justice and Freedom Party. He also has to fill in the details of his contacts, his email address, and also a signature, after which now he'll have to proceed on to the VIP room, where he will be held for a few minutes before his documentation can be reviewed. Right, so he proceeds to the VIP room. There you go. So this has been the tradition since yesterday, Charles, as all the presidential aspirants have been taken through the same process, having to register with the IEBC, and then after that they are taken in here for holding for a few minutes so that they can be given an opportunity to have their documentation reviewed before they can appear before the commissioners. And I think one of the reasons for that to happen is so that IEBC can furnish themselves with all the details that are contained in the documentation. So shortly we'll try to have a chat with them as soon as they are able to settle down, so that we can get a hint on how their ticket is. I'm sure you can see that's a lady that we all know. She's in the media fraternity, so we'll be expecting to hear her role in this entire campaign for Justice and Freedom Party. And right, Charles, so those are the live pictures from the VIP room here at the KICC as they wait to have the documentation processed. And Charles, this is an important step, bearing in mind what happened yesterday. We had 2 presidential aspirants taken back, or rather told to go and put their documentation in order so that they can come back and be considered. And so it's an important process so that they can be briefed by the IEBC officials here and also ensure that everything is in order so that they don't have hiccups. They don't have hiccups while appearing before the commissioners. And so they have just been briefed that shortly after the commissioners are ready for them, then they'll be ushered into the hall to have their moment of consideration. So let's try and have a chat with him, because this is the very first time that he is running as a presidential candidate. Of course, we have previously hosted him on Citizen TV, but this is the first time that we get to talk to you, and congratulations for making it up to this point, Justice Juma. And first of all, I would ask you the same question that I've asked every presidential aspirant, and what is your feeling this particular moment for making it to this particular time, or rather this stage, that not so many have made it?
Well, to me, it's a hope, and it's a hope to the citizen. That's the main representation that we are carrying. We are telling Kenyans that it is possible, and if you believe in a just cause for a better future, it is very possible. All you need to do is take initiative and take actions which is suitable with the objective you're pursuing, and is achievable. Right. It's very possible.
So you are, I believe, the 5th aspirant to appear before the IEBC. Yesterday, 4 of them appeared. Right. 1 was not cleared. 1 had hiccups. He went back and he came back and was cleared. Right. Is your documentation in order? Do you believe you'll be cleared in this first attempt?
Well, it's asked to comply by the regulations provided. Sometimes you cannot be ready enough, and your preparedness is determined by the commission. You do all that you need and avail whatever they require of you, and seek for further direction, as far as you're concerned.
You are vying as a presidential aspirant now, later to be a candidate if you're confirmed on Justice and Freedom Party. This is not a very known political party compared to what we have, the 2 main formations, that is Jubilee and National Super Alliance. How exactly do you intend to popularize your party and your candidature to at least get the 50% plus 1 votes in this country?
They say in my language that the water that runs deeper runs deepest. So sometimes some of these procedures, you carry them out in the deepest underground, and the provision for registering a political party as provided by law is such that you must have a presence in not less than 24 counties. So generally, in our deepest, yes, we are known. We filled in various candidates for various positions, and we are supporting them, and we are believing that they are going to make the best of it. We see some of them are going in, and we are going to do all that it takes, if possible, for all of them to go in. Yes,
but specifically for your presidential campaign, it will not be an easy ride, and I'm sure you know that, because of the entire NASA Brigade, Jubilee Party, and the other 7 contenders that you'll be facing. Yeah. How exactly do you intend to make sure that you win?
Well, I appreciate, you see, our quest for freedom right from our name. Freedom has been something spontaneous. We had freedom for pre-colonial freedom from colonization. And our great-grandfathers fought very hardly, and they jubilated. We had, again, a phase of quest for freedom, where people fought for monopartism and dictatorship. And you saw how Kenyans were so happy. We've had in Kenya, again, another freedom for constitutional reform, which actually we give it to individuals who achieved them. I give honor where it is due. But as I said, freedom is spontaneous, and being a society that is not static, we are dynamic, and in the global society, there are various needs that do surface, and various freedom quests that do manifest. And in our generation and our age, you can tell that yes, I'm not very old as the other aspirants are. And even in their representational outfits, you can see my running mate, Madam Miriam. She's a female which is hardly seen across the board. Very poor women representation. The youth representation is also lacking. And that lack of sensitivity is what is creating a gap between us and the other generation, however much they fought for the previous freedom and the achievement they've achieved. Still we have a country where we still have to compete and be equal in the face of humanity, if possible be fast. And for us to do this, we must be governed and be led by individuals who understand the current generation and also feel the need and the freedom quest of the hour, which so far I've found a lot of insensitivity across the other competitors. And this is what is making us come out to Kenyans. And to us, we're people-centered. We're bringing up a leadership they never thought existed. We would want to restore value systems and bring out leadership that bring out the role models for Kenyans. It doesn't have to be a bad boy or a bad girl, as it is for now. And it can remain so if the good people do nothing. So we, from our quest and from our circles, we've interacted with several good people whom we thought, seriously, why should we lock them out?
Just as that's a very good philosophy, but let me ask you a question. Are you in this to win?
Well, my friend, you count the cost, number one, before you begin your journey, isn't it? As we're talking right now, yes, the majority of voters in Kenya are around, between age 35 and below, around 65% of voters. So you, these 65%, 68% of voters. These 68% of voters are our age group, who feel us, who understand the objectives that we are standing for, actually who we are bearing common goal together. All we are doing as we're talking right now is telling them that, you know, it's possible. If they thought there was no alternative, now we have an alternative. All we need to do is come together the way we have come out, and let's own our future together. Because all these individuals have been crying for, kila mtu amechoka. I'm 35 now. I'm 34. I'm turning 35 in June 26th. But if you calculate from 1882 to 1982 to today, you can say 35. But I'm here to turn 35. Yes, sir. Right.
All the best, Justice. Let's talk to you running it. I think this is the first lady who has contested for the presidential running mate. You've not seen any other lady candidate, if that is correct. First of all, introduce us to who you are.
Yes. Okay, my name is Mary Wamboi Morioki. I'm a mother of 2 children. I'm an educator, and I've been working with the Justice and Freedom Party since the inception.
When was it started?
It was actually registered in this year, Feb March, but we've been working on it for the last 1 year.
Okay. Yeah. So how exactly, your ticket, how do you exactly intend to ensure that you win? How do you plan to do your campaigns across the country?
Okay, we plan to basically reach out to the individual, to the citizens, and to give our message in the different places, that we are just out to make a difference, to the citizens, and we understand the needs of everyone. We are all just wananchi wa kawaida, and we understand, we've gone through what everybody's going through, and we want just to relate with that and let people know what we're planning to do for them.
Okay. Yeah. Wamboi, I don't know whether you watched TV yesterday and you saw the optics of politics with the National Super Alliance. You just came in one car with your candidate. Yeah. Is this a bother to you and your campaign?
No, we are not pretending that we are, out there. We're just wananchi wa kawaida who have come together, formed a party. We don't have big cars. Yesterday I wasn't even watching TV. I was at church the whole day. Oh. So we are just your average Kenyan. We don't have those big cars, we don't have the entourage, and so we're just coming to tell people it's possible. Okay. And someone like you and me can be able to come and make a difference, can try and make a difference.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Wamboi. I think I'll have to allow you to pick your phone, because I think there's some fans who have seen Wamboi on TV, Charles, so we allow her to pick up phone. But as you have heard from Justice please don't fall. As you have heard from Justus and Wamboi here, they are saying that they are in this to offer an alternative to Kenyans so that they don't just look at the bad boys, he says. He's calling them the bad boys. Of course, we'll be expecting to hear from him as he appears before the committee of IEBC, the commissioners, as they get to process his documentation and also make sure that everything is in order before they can clear him. So let me just take you through where the commissioners will be sitting on the other side to see whether there's any activity happening there, because now as soon as Justus is cleared from here, he'll have to head to the IEBC room where the commissioners will be waiting for him to process exactly that, the documentation that he brings. So let's just see if there's any activity happening and see if we can have something. Yes, and yes, there's something happening here. You can see here the agents of the presidential aspirant have brought the documentation of Justus Juma and Wamboi, the running mate, for processing. So this is the process that we've been talking about, that IEBC officials are having to go through before they can invite the candidate to come and be processed. And so exactly the signatures, the list of signatures are here, those many booklets. That is what carries the signatures from 24 counties, a minimum of 2,000 from every county, so a total of 40,000. And this is what has been used to verify whether they have the endorsement of 40,000 registered voters. And once that is clear, then there are other documentations that have to be reviewed. For instance, academic documentation, the other testimonials, also to do with the important details of telling what kind of person this is. They have to have been cleared by the Higher Education Loans Board. That is the certification that gives the compliance. The candidate is compliant, or if they did not take a loan, then they are given a clearance certificate. And of course, this is what goes through. I am told that there could be an issue with his documentation in terms of getting the requisite signatures and authentication. So we'll wait, but that we have to wait and hear from the commissioners themselves, because we cannot make that determination. But if and when that happens, then we'll be sure to feed you back so that we can continue the process of monitoring the situation of the other candidates. But if my cameraman can turn to the other side, there's no much activity. Of course, the seats are empty. The party officials are yet to arrive, or maybe they are the ones that are accompanying Justus Juma, just a few of them, and then that's where the commissioners will be sitting shortly as soon as the IBC officials here, the clerks, are satisfied with what they've seen. And so, Charles, I think we have to hand it back to you so that you can proceed on with some other snippets from studio as we are to see how this process pans out. But as soon as Justus is on the move to come to the IEBC room, then we'll be sure to join you back so that we can feed you what is happening on location, Charles.